Alright. What's up, people? I am back for another video. Today, we're doing kind of like I mentioned, since we did, the status of Alien and Predator, why not talk about the status, in my opinion, that's like in the same vein of Alien, of Terminator? Because I think Terminator is an interesting one because if we're being honest, there's probably only really two good movies. The first one and the second one. I have fun with three, but it's like, let's be honest, it's a weaker version of two. Because it has a lot of the same things, like Arnold's good again. You have a bad guy Terminator. I have fun with it, but I can't sit here and say it's like an actually good movie. I just can't. I think there's some good parts in it, and I like some ideas it's presented, but I can't really say it's a good movie. And I'm in the camp that Terminator is just two movies. I think the second one ends things perfectly. You know, with Sarah Connor thanking the Terminator, John Connor's grown up. They have averted Judgment Day. I think, to me, that's where the movie ends. But it's like they don't know what to do with it after. They tried with like Salvation, which I thought that was logically the next step, is the future war. But I think the problem with Salvation was, one, it was PG-13. I don't know why this was at that same time when they wanted to make everything PG-13, and I don't understand why they went with that move. Especially the future war. I think if you honestly made like a really gritty future war Terminator movie, I think that movie would make all the money. Like, I think that movie would do really well if you just did a really gritty R-rated future war movie. Get a really good cast, because I actually think that's the direction to go. Before I go too into that, I guess we can keep going down the line of the movies. And then they tried Genesis, which I know a lot of people hated. I liked parts of it, and if you look at it as like an Elseworld story, it's kind of fine. It's just not a good mainline Terminator movie. I'll be honest. That opening, like 20-30 minutes where they're in the future, I think if that was the whole movie, I think it would have did better. But then you erased 1 and 2, which was not a good idea. Granted, in the making John Connor the bad guy, which they revealed in the trailers, that killed them. Because I think people would have accepted it if, one, they didn't show in the trailers, and I think too, if they had leaned into it, like they went in, make it clear it's not canon to 1 and 2. You explain this is our like what if story. What if John Connor went bad? Like, if you went in with that, all those things, obviously not revealing John Connor is the bad guy in the trailer, but maybe even just saying it, just say it's not canon, I think people would have been fine with it, but they just didn't. And Emilia Clarke was not the right person to play Sarah Connor. You should have got like maybe even like a Mary Elizabeth Winstead. There's so many other actresses at the time, I think, who could have probably did that role. But fucking Emilia Clarke isn't it. She's fine, but she doesn't. They keep, that was that period, because they even put her in like Marvel movies. They keep, and even in Star Wars, they're trying to make her like some action actress, and she's just not that. I think keep her in her lane. And then the guy that got to be John Connor wasn't that good. And then Kyle Reese, I like Jai Courtney in some roles. He was not good as Kyle. And then The worst of all of them, Dark Fate, which spit in the face of the first two Terminators, ruined Sarah Connor. Like, having her basically be anti-natalist, even though her whole story is natalist. Her whole story is about having a son, it, and motherhood. And like, Sarah Connor to me is up there, like, like, it's like ruining Indiana Jones to me. Like, she's up there for me. I'm almost more mad they ruined her than Luke. Because, when I was a big Star Wars fan, I like Luke, but he was never like, he's one of my favorite characters, but he was never an uber. I hold him dear, but I don't hold him nowhere near as dear as like a Sarah Connor. Like, Sarah Connor was such a, like, when I think prototypical best female character of our time, I obviously put her and Ripley, but I honestly think I even have Sarah Connor like a smidgen above Ripley. Her arc in the first two movies is one of the best arcs of all time. Going from like just a normal girl who just was a waitress, didn't even really know what she was doing, to be thrust in this position. And then even by the end of the first one, she had got the courage to kill the Terminator, right? Or even when the scene when she was like telling Kyle to get up, on your feet, soldier. Like, when she was doing, like, even that movie. And obviously by the second one, she's jacked, she's training, she knows guns, but they still let her be vulnerable. That is like the kind of writing. And then they spit all over that in Terminator Dark Fate. They essentially they did the Jake Skywalker from the sequel trilogy. Just made her a bitter old woman. And it's like, why? Like, it's like they don't know I think the problem with Terminator is they got to get out of sending a Terminator or two Terminators or whatever back in time. They got to stop doing that. Because at least, whatever you think of Genesis, at least it did it slightly different. But I like 3, but let's be honest, 3 was just a watered down T2. It had like almost the same kind of sequences. Like, it pretty much had the same sequences. Like, you gotta have a big chase, you're gonna have a couple big chases, you're gonna have a big highway chase, it's gonna end at like a big factory. And it's like, oh my god. Well, we gotta keep doing this format. That's why you can't, if you want, I think if they're smart, honestly, move away from Terminator as a movie franchise. I think that's the way to go. You could try another Future War movie. Maybe you could try that. Maybe you try that. You move away from it being like a video game franchise, like a movie franchise, and maybe, yeah, you focus on video games. There's so many other forms of media Terminator would be perfect for. Video games, maybe a TV, like if you want to do like a Future War miniseries, if you don't want to put a giant budget movie, a legacy series like that could work. Like, put it on, I think Skydance owns it, so put it on Paramount Plus. Put a gritty, R-rated Terminator Future War series. Get a really good actor to be John Connor, like future John Connor, and then have a good squad with him. I think if you do that, have obviously good effects for the machines, I think it could work. Yeah, you had Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles, good show, but I think it still came out, it was like the mid 2000s, right? So the effects weren't gonna be great, and it was like on Fox and on normal TV at that time. They did the most they could do with it, but I still feel like it was still a decent show. There's little things here and there I don't love, but I feel like it is the most, especially that first episode, is the most logical continuation of T2 I've seen, out of even including the other movies. I just feel like, though, the Future War is the real direction. I think you can't send another Terminator back in time. You can't do it. We've done that how many times now? Even Dark Fate. Dark Fate essentially kind of follows a lot of the same formula, not necessarily as the first one, but I would even combine the first two, because like it ends at a factory. You got multiple big chases, especially a big one on the road. It's like you got a scene where the bad guy Terminator slaughters a bunch of cops, or it was like ICE essentially, but it was basically like a border agents. It was like at a there was a scene where there's like at a border fucking facility, which clearly was this there because we got to talk about illegal immigration, and it was so dumb. I don't know why that was there either, but that was this there so bad guy Terminator could kill border agents, kind of like how Arnold killed the cops in the first movie. It was so, and then obviously killing John Connor the way they did, and then trying to make it like, oh, here's some new lead you're supposed to care about, even though for 30 years, we have 30 some years, we have been told John Connor was the future. Now we're going on 40 years, or 41 years this year, since Terminator 1 was released. We have been told John Connor was the future. He was the one we're supposed to follow. And now you're going to retroactively add some random bitch we're supposed to follow. Like, what? Why would you write it like that? Like, we're supposed to now all of a sudden care about this random bitch. And it just did not work. It was insulting. So bad. Not just the fact, obviously, just the killing of John Connor. It was bad because, one, it's just a retread. Like, a lot of scenes in that movie are just scenes you've seen in the first two Terminators, but better. You know? The lead, or I think her name's like Danny or some shit. She was boring. I found her very boring. Linda Hamilton's character, they ruined. And if anything, I'm more angry about that. Almost borderline more angry about that than the John Connor thing, to be honest. Because it's just like, why? Why did you have to, like, what is this trend of Hollywood making, like, legacy characters old and bitter? I don't know what. There's times it could work, right? Like Wolverine. To an extent, would it make sense for him to be a little bit bitter? Because let's be real, he was kind of bitter when he was young, or in his prime. It makes sense with that character. But Sarah Connor should not be bitter. And don't. The excuse was someone will oh, but her son died. But all of a sudden, so she hates motherhood now. And they want you just put your womb. It was so fucking shit. It was. I think Terminator, the way to go is a series. Or a movie or video game. I think the movies we need to move on from. The most I will say for a movie is maybe a future horror movie. That's the only way I'd accept a movie. Because we can't do another evil Terminator and then we're going to send like a good Terminator and or like a protector for who, like either John Connor or some kind of Connor to protect them from the bad Terminator. Like, we can't keep doing that. You got away with it in 2 movies. You tried it with 3. I kind of can give a little pass to T3 for that, but after that, the future war was the next logical step, but because that didn't make much money. Granted, that was a little bit on them trying to make it PG-13, and the effects just did not look great. I think if they tried more with the script, also dial back Christian Bale's Batman voice, because there was just times he was talking straight up like Batman, and I get he was doing the Batman movies at the time, but come on. I don't know if that was his decision, or I don't know if that was right, or the director, if the director was like, well, you just did the Nolan Batman movies, just do that voice. It's like, but the logical step is the future war. I've always said that was the logical next step. Because I've always wanted that. I think you can have some really good stories. Whatever you think of Genesis, that opening, when it was just the future war stuff, was fucking cool. And I think if we had a whole movie of that, or a series, or even a video game of that, but like a really good video game, I think Terminator has a chance. But, and apparently James Cameron says he's writing a Terminator 7. I hope that's not true. James, just focus on your fucking shitty Avatar movies. I just won't watch them, but at least they're yours, and you're not touching Terminator. Let's just leave Terminator to rest as a movie franchise. Maybe, like I said, video games, do a Future War TV series and a video game. I think that's the direction to go. I think movies, we just need to let it go. Let's just leave it alone. Let T1 and T2, because a lot of people, including me, consider T1 and T2 really the only real canon movies. Because T2 does end things perfectly, and at least with that story. If you want to do some Future War stuff, I think there's a chance, and because the Future War stuff, you could easily you don't have to tie to anything. Yeah, it's somewhat tied to the main Terminator story, but you don't have to, like, make it canon to the movies. You could just kind of make it its own thing. That's why I was more saying do video game or TV series, where because at least with a TV series and a game, you can make it like these are like little what if Judgment Day still happened? This is what you would get. But like yeah, almost Elseworld stories. Yeah, I think that's the perfect. I just thought about that. Yeah, Elseworld stories. I think that would be perfect. But tying it to the main canon, no. Let T1 and T2 just be canon. And I think what these dumb fucks think is because what Dirt Fate did, I even think Genesis did it a little bit. They thought by fixing it is, oh, we'll just decanonize anything after T2. I mean, that's what Dark Fate did. Dark Fate wanted to be the real sequel to T2, and it just wasn't. That's why I don't think that fixes everything, because at the end of the day, T3 is better than Dark Fate. Just gotta say it. And I saw Mahler and Gary talk about this in a stream on Real BBC with Az. And I kind of agree. They think Terminator is going to be hard to continue because at the end of the day, it's Arnold. It is about Arnold. And I think people don't want to admit it. And this has always been the reality of this franchise. And maybe that's partially why Salvation didn't do great. Salvation does have an Arnold cameo, but it's like really bad CGI Arnold cameo. And that's why they, like with Genesis and Dirt Fate, they tried bringing Arnold back. And I just don't think that works because he's getting up there in age. He can't do a lot of those fucking spots anymore. And at the end of the day, I do think this franchise is Arnold. You know, we want to say, oh, there's other characters, and I actually personally think there is a way to continue without Arnold, but maybe without. That's why I was saying, you know what, we got to move on from Terminator as a movie franchise. I think that's really what it needs to happen at this point. Even a future war movie, just do that as a game or a TV series, because at least there you can do those without Arnold. Because a movie, there's just, I think there's going to be a sector of people, or section of people, who are going to be like, where's Arnold? And even try throwing, well, we could try to throw Arnold in the movie. Nah, I don't want that, because then I feel like it'd be forced. And after seeing him in Dirt Fate, I don't know, man. He's come back twice already, and I was okay with Genesis somewhat, but then Dirt Fate ruined him. I don't know if I want him back. Just, you know, let him do his own thing. If he wants to do other movies, I feel like his time as Terminator, let him rest. He doesn't have, not just the body, but he just doesn't have it anymore to be the Terminator. And I don't think these script writers know what to do with him. And I feel, even try throwing old Arnold, let's say in the Future War movie, like they somehow get, it wouldn't make sense. Because then if you throw him in the Future War movie, why would Skynet give, if they're going to give the Terminator a skin to use, why would they give him an old man skin? That wouldn't make any sense to me. Logically, why would they pick an old guy skin? If they're going to use any human skin or covering to put on the Terminator, it would not be an old person. And I love Arnold, but why would they use old Arnold? Just because, well, it was Arnold in the other movies. But realistically, it wouldn't do anything for Skynet to put him in an old man body. They would just put him in a younger guy body. That's why I'm just like, no more movies. Let's just do a Terminator. Keep it in video games. I think there's a lot of stuff you could do with Terminator as a game, kind of like a, you know, video game franchise. I think there's more you could do with that than trying to make it a movie franchise at this point. Same with the TV series. You can do a cool, kick-ass live action or a cartoon. Like get even a cartoon. If you get some really good animators, you make it an adult cartoon show, it could work. You know, make it maybe you give it the animation of I wouldn't even mind if Jenny Tarkovsky did it, or whoever did Primal, or like even in the Invincible style would mind, like of animation. Ideal, I'd probably rather be live action, but if you're gonna do like animate, I wouldn't mind if it's something like Primal animation or fucking even like the Invincible style animation. But outside of that, yeah, just do a TV series or a video game. I think Terminator, we need to move on from as a movie franchise. I don't really see the point of continuing it as a movie franchise at this point. I think 1 and 2 can let those just be the main continuity. And if you want, Terminator 3 can be like in Elseworlds. What if there was a Terminator 3? I'm fine with that. We don't need any more. So I don't want to keep rambling. I just wanted to do this video really quick. I'll figure out what I'm going to do next. because I do want to get it back into reviews. I have been kind of doing fun doing these state of videos, but I'll figure out a movie to review. The new Running Man is coming out this weekend, and I'll watch it. Maybe we'll review like the original Running Man. Maybe that's what I'll do next. I haven't watched it in a while anyway, so maybe I'll do that this week, or I'll watch the new one first and then I'll rewatch the old one, pending on. But it will be probably my next video will be Running Man. I just don't know if it's gonna be the new one or the original. But other than that, guys, yeah, subscribe to Pin Down Podcast. We should be live Saturday for our normal Saturday show, and yeah. Other than that, I'm gonna call it here. All right, y'all. I'll talk to y'all later.